Participants, please mute your audio and video. Shall we start? Shall we start, sir?
We shall start.
Okay. Good morning to one and all gathered here. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all on behalf of the Department of Biotechnology and Botany, who has organized this webinar on career in biotechnology, challenges and opportunities. I welcome you all. Let's start this session with a short silent prayer. Okay, thank you. Now we can have a small introduction about our college.
Good morning, dear participants. I will give a small introduction about Kaliseri College. The seat for this institution was shown in the year 2000. In 2000, we started with a new building and with the UG programs such as BCom CA and BBAM with 8 faculty members and 55 students. Our college secretary is A.P. Subbarajan. Our college principal Dr. Krishnamurthy. This is the milestone of our Kaliseri College. In 1998, the college first formation. 2000, approval from Tamil Nadu government to start the college. 2000 and 2001, SCS born with the UG program. And 2006, we received 2F status from University Campus. In 2007, the first NAC first cycle of academic. 2012, we received autonomous status from UTC New Delhi. In 2013, NAC second cycle accreditation, we received A grade. 2014, we received 12B status from University Plan Commission New Delhi. 2008, extension of autonomy by UTC. 2019, NAC third cycle accreditation A grade, A grade, 3.11. This is the vision and mission of Kaliseri College. Kaliseri College is an academic center. Now we offer undergraduate program, 9 postgraduate program, and 5 research program like MPhil, Commerce, Biotechnology, Commerce, Mathematics, and Physics. Currently we have 2,900 students with 155 teaching faculty, 11 guest faculty, 1 partner faculty, and the non-teaching staff. That's all the small introduction about our Kaliseri College. Now I would like to invite our head of the department, Dr. M. Sujata, to lead the.
Good morning, one and all. It's my great pleasure in welcoming you all to this wonderful webinar, Career in Biotechnology, Challenges and Opportunities. First of all, I thank our management and our secretary, Sri A.P. Subbarajan sir, for granting us permission to conduct such a webinar in this COVID lockdown period. I welcome our dynamic principal, Dr. S. Krishnamurthy sir, for his support. Without his support, we may not arrange this webinar. I welcome you, sir. I welcome today's chief guest, Dr. M. Muthamilarasan, Assistant Professor, Department of Plant Sciences, School of Life Sciences, University of Hyderabad, Telangana, India. He came forward to present his webinar on the topic Career Opportunities in Biotechnology to the students and faculty members all over India. I wholeheartedly welcome Dr. M. Muthamilarasan. I also welcome our Vice Principal, our faculty member, our Senior Faculty Member, Dr. R. Narayana Prakash, to this webinar. I welcome our team members, Dr. Manikandan, of our department, Mr. Raghavan, System Admin, and Mr. Marivuthu, Lab Technician, who have supported as in organizing this webinar. I'm delightful in welcoming the participants of this webinar. I also wholeheartedly welcome all the participants from other institutes who have come over all over India. Once again, I welcome you all to this wonderful session. Thank you. Now I invite our dynamic principal, Dr. S. Krishnamurthy sir, to present his presidential address.
Good morning to all of you. Now I am really happy in presiding over this webinar being organized by Department of Biotechnology and Botany of our college on the title Career in Biotechnology, Challenges and Opportunities. In this occasion, really I want to thank Dr. Muthamil Arasan for coming forward to be the chairperson of this seminar. Moreover, this seminar is well arranged by Department of Biotechnology and Botany. I do thank HOD of Biotech, Dr. Sujata, and faculty members for arranging this seminar very nicely. Moreover, I do hope that the seminar will help all the student participants, especially while they are seeking their job opportunities. Finally, I wish this program all the success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.
And now I invite our head of the department, Dr. M. Sujata, to introduce about today's chief guest.
Once again, good morning to one and all. I'm very glad and feel proud to introduce today's chief guest, my student and our college alumni, Dr. M. Muthamil Arasan, Assistant Professor, School of Life Sciences, University of Hyderabad, Telangana. I welcome you once again. And he has completed his UG at our college in the academic year 2004 to 2007. And he completed technology in the college from in the academic year. And he has done his PhD in biotechnology from 2012 to 2016 in National Institute of Plant Genome Jawaharlal Nehru University as a UGC fellow scholar. Many honors and awards from various sources.
மருத்துவர்கள், மருத்துவ பணியாளர்கள், செவிலியர்கள், தூய்மை பணியாளர்கள், உள்ளாட்சித் துறையைச் சேர்ந்த அதிகாரிகள், காவல்துறைக்கும் பல்வேறு துறையைச் சேர்ந்த பணியாளர்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய பாராட்டுகளையும் வாழ்த்துக்களையும் தெரிவிக்கின்றேன்.
NASI Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award in 2018 from
இதன் அல்ட்ராடெக் பைண்டிங் பார்ட்டிகல்ஸ் பெண்கள் கம்பியோட நல்லா சேர்ந்து வீட்டை ரொம்ப வலிமையாக்கி
Science and Technology, Government of India. He has received Indo-Australian Career Boosting Gold Fellowship in 2018 from Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. He has received a DST Inspire Faculty Award in 2017 from Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. And he was awarded with a Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellowship by United States Department of State visit to conduct research at Louisiana State University, USA. He received Joint CSIR UGC Junior Research Fellowship from University Grants Commission UGC, Government of India during the year 2012 to 2016. He has received Maviran Sundaralingam Endowment Scholarship from Madurai Kamaraj University, Tamil Nadu for standing first in order of merit in biotechnology during his period, that is 2017-2009. He has a good employment record. From 2009 to 2012, he worked as a production officer in bioprocess Boston Biotech Chennai. He worked as a research fellow, visiting student research in State University, Baton, USA, and At present, he is working as an assistant professor at University of Hyderabad, Telangana. And he has published more papers in Scopus Index and SCI journals. He has published 30 research papers in reputed journals. He has 11 review articles and 11 books. And he has a total cumulative impact factor of 140. And he has 21 H index and 32 I10 index. And he was undertaking 2 externally funded research projects. So one is from DST SERB and another from DST. He's a member in learned bodies. He holds membership in Indian National Academy of Sciences India, American Society of Plant Biologists USA, National Academy of Sciences Allahabad India, Indian Science Congress Association West Bengal, National Academy of Biological Sciences Chennai. He is an academic editor in PLOS1 from 2018 onwards. And he has contributed to science promotion and teaching. And he authored a book named Fellowships and Funding Opportunities for School Students, The Way Forward, for the benefit of school students, released by Indian National Academy of Sciences, New Delhi. And he delivered several invited talks in schools, colleges, and universities. And he visited the schools in rural areas of Tamil Nadu through INSA Rural Lecture Scheme and conducted workshops on fellowships and funding opportunities for school students. And he served as a mentor in the DST Inspire Science Camp for school students, organized by University of Madras, Chennai. In association with United States India Education Foundation, New Delhi, he organized seminar on Fulbright scholarship for doctoral and postdoctoral research in agricultural sciences at the National Institute of Plant Genome Research, New Delhi, on February 2017. So this was a small introduction about our chief guest. And now I invite our chief guest, Dr. Muthamil Arasan, to give his keynote address.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, you are audible, Muthamil.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Is my slides visible? Ma'am? Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I convey my thanks to Honorable Secretary Selvarajan sir, Principal Krishnamurthy sir, Vice Principals Balamurugan sir and Muthulakshmi ma'am, and Senior Faculty Narayana Prakash sir. My special thanks are to the Head of the Department, Sujata ma'am, for being instrumental in organizing this event for the benefit of students. I also appreciate the student participants who are here in large number to listen to my talk. Thank you for coming over here. So we will take the questions at the end. I encourage the participants to type down their questions in the chat box anytime. It will be easy for us to read and discuss it in the end of this session after my talk, I mean. So you can also type in Tamil for the Tamil students, like how you do in WhatsApp chat, since today the interaction is more important than the language we are going to speak. So coming to the topic, today we are going to talk about the biggest challenge, that is getting a job. You are all studying the same degree in different colleges, I guess, biotechnology. And so far life would have been fair and nice, but when you are out of the college as undergraduate or postgraduate, then it will not be the same. Some will get the degree and leave for some other jobs. Let it be like, those who pursue the degree for the sake of, having some qualifying degree for attempting banking exams, TNPSC, UPSC, etc., etc. Some might get into teaching, some might get into industry, and a very few comes into research. So though the degree is going to be the same, the effort we are going to invest during this period will be different for each of these destinations. So that is where I recall the famous poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, who too had a confusion about deciding his career between serving an army or becoming a poet. So finally, he chose to become a poet, which was the least preferred profession that time, even till now. And as the last stanza says, he took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So, to be frank, many of us, in the sense, students from Tamil Nadu or the southern states particularly, we are not able to take research as a career and succeed in that. One major reason I would attribute to this low success rate is that we are not tuned for research. A general trend in our education system is to motivate the students to pursue medicine or engineering, which we call as the professional course. Gradually, the school, parents, peers, nears and dears will register this in our mind that we have to pursue a professional degree, as according to everyone, that would be more rewarding. That is where we funnily say when someone fails in getting either of these courses, they commit suicide. And if you see the statistics, Maharashtra tops in the number of student suicide, followed by Tamil Nadu. So that is what we also used to tell in our talks, that students of southern states or students of India in general also, we can say that they have only 3 options after their 12th standard. One is either to pursue medicine, or to pursue engineering, or to commit suicide. Those who have not got a seat in medicine or engineering and didn't commit suicide, of course, choose other options where biotech is one. We enroll for BSc after 2 years. After 3 years, we will not be knowing much about what to do next. So we enter into MSc. And still those who have not got a clear picture of future, they mostly register for a...
Sir, please. Sir?
This is no.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please now share your presentation, sir. It's not
Oh, it
visible.
stopped.
Some participants share their own presentation. Please, again, you share your presentation, sir.
Okay. I think the admin can do that actually. You can control who has to share and who has not.
Now we control the...
Okay. 1 second.
Dear participants, please don't share your presentation.
Okay. Is my screen visible now? Is my screen visible now?
Sir, please say. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying is that, I mean, we take biotech as an option when we are not able to get into this professional degrees, and we do BSc. After 3 years, still we will not be knowing what to do next. So we pursue MSc, and then those who still doesn't know what to do next, they come into PhD. It is a kind of artificial inspiration, which we colloquially say it is a kind of arranged marriage. The thing is, this tweet is the funniest one which I noticed, that which has more relevance to us, that let's be honest, most of us are rushing into master's degree just to buy time to figure out what we actually want. We are doing the degree without knowing what is the scope of it, and without knowing how to get into or how to achieve greater heights in this field of research. So one basic thing which I want to show you is this basic outline. Like, I mean, where do you want to go? Few might be from BSc, few might be from MSc, and for us, if you leave the other jobs, if you leave teaching, there are only 2 options left. One is to get into industry, or to get into research, or what we call as academia. Those who want to get into industry, there are only very few options left, which I will show in the next 2 slides. And those who want to get into research, where PhD is very much important, you have to pursue a PhD degree. If you are doing your BSc, then it is easy to get into an integrated MSc PhD course, where you will get the degree altogether from the same institute. If you are in MSc, then you have to qualify some national level examination here to get into PhD. So we will talk about those national level examinations in detail in coming slides. So only thing which you have to be clear of until now is to get into industry, the options are narrow. To get into research, if you are in BSc, you can go for an integrated MSc PhD course. If you are in MSc, you have to qualify some national level exam to enroll for PhD in a premier national or central university. So I think that makes you clear of what I am trying to say. So, but for students who are pursuing their degrees in other streams, let it be in engineering or any science streams like physics, chemistry, or anything so on. For them, even nowadays, the PSUs, they consider GATE as a valid score for entering into those companies. But for biotech, there is no PSU, so GATE doesn't work for us. So there was a gap between the academia and the industry. So to bridge that gap, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology came up with a very nice idea that they can give training for students in biotech industries. That is what is called BITP, Biotech Industrial Training Program, where BE, BTech, MSc, MTech, MVSc, MBA in biotechnology or bioinformatics. Only biotechnology or bioinformatics students are eligible to apply. Those who have scored a minimum of 50 marks, which we of course score. So this call is yet to come. Last year it was announced in July, so this July it is yet to come. So what they will do is like they will conduct a national level entrance exam. Previously the examination was not there. Now they have put an examination there. So once you qualify the exam, they will ask you to appear for an interview, and if you qualify that interview, you will be allotted to a biotech industry for a period of 6 months. So 6 months you will be serving in an industry. Ministry of Science and Technology will pay you a stipend, and it will also pay the industry a bench fee to keep you in their company. After the end of the 6 months, if the company is really satisfied with your performance, then the company will take you up as a permanent employee. So the 6 months is more like an internship period where you have to prove your capacity or capability in the industry, and if the industry recognizes your contribution or value, they will simultaneously recruit you once this program gets over. So this is a way which the government is trying to bridge the gap between this academia and the industry. Otherwise, you have to look for the industries which advertise on newspapers or any common platforms, or some industries they have a job portal in their own official websites. So those you have to keep a track on, because there is no central information system where we can go and see the such jobs available in all the biotech industries spread across the nation. So these are the two ways which I always deem important for getting into an industry. However, the GATE doesn't work for us. For us, only BATP is going to work, and those who aspire for getting into an industry, they should always try for qualifying this examination to get into industry. Now let's talk about the research. So as a famous Nobel laureate from Sweden, he said that we all have capability to becoming great scientists, but the problem is this never translates into reality. If you could see in the year 2019, only 10 of the Indians made into the top 4,000 scientists. Although they are saying that it is double of last year's, but still 10 out of 4,000, where India is the second largest populated country, doesn't make any sense. It says that our contribution is very less to science and technology. So what happens to the rest? Rest end up as a junk. We don't have much, if you see a newspaper clipping which shows that, 93,000 candidates applied for a peon job in UP, where out of this 93,000, 3,700 were PhD holders. So that is where PhD holders are ending up because of the quality of the PhD which they are getting. So unemployment, of course, has an impact in all the fields, but the field has its own what do we call it? Its own scope, and it has its own glamour. And I'll tell you how to get into that, actually, how not to get into this junk and how to succeed. There is a very fine difference between that, which requires tremendous hard work. So let's see one by one how to get into that. So as we all have finished our schoolings, few are in UG, few are in PG. So those who aspire to become a scientist, those who aspire to become an assistant professor or a teaching job in a reputed institutes or central universities, what they will do, they will go for PhD, of course. So after PhD, few might go out of India for postdoctoral experience, and then they will get a position and make their living. This is a general route. There is another route where you have to enrich your career path. First, during your UG itself, you should look for summer research fellowships, which we will talk in detail in later of my slides. And for PG, getting into PG itself, there are several postgraduate fellowships. I'll show you one example. And I think one very prominent one is this Indira Gandhi fellowship.
Sorry, your PPT is not visible.
Still it is not visible?
No, sir.
When did you miss? Is it now visible? It seems somebody is trying to share their screen, so mine is getting obstructed. Is it now visible?
No, sir.
Now?
Dear participant, please pin Muthamil Arasan's presentation.
Yeah, done.
Now visible?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
Participants, once again, I inform you to kindly pin Muthamil Arasan pin. Okay, sir, you start, sir.
Yeah, but whenever it gets off, then please inform me immediately. Don't wait for me to realize that. Okay, I don't know where you stopped missing it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Anyway, what I was saying is, I think at least this slide I can come back from the beginning. So yeah, we have done our schoolings. Few of us are in our undergraduation part. Few of you might be in your post-graduation part. And when you want to get into academia, you will be pursuing, of course, a PhD degree followed by a postdoc experience. And then you will get a position to make the living. This is the regular route which all the PhDs follow. But the actual route which you have to follow in succeed is that you have to do some extra work, including undergoing summer research fellowships during your undergraduation itself, followed by postgraduate fellowships. There are several. I'll show you one example. That's what I said for your postgraduate degree. And then in postgraduate, while pursuing postgraduate degree itself, you are eligible to get project grants. Say, for example, this Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology, they give some good amount of money to postgraduate students to pursue their final year that dissertation research. Such programs are, I think, available in all the state science and technology boards or councils. So you should look for those. And if you qualify a national level entrance examination, including NET, the path is going to be different. It will deviate from the regular PhDs, and that is going to make a difference in the career in biotechnology. And during your PhD itself, you are eligible for several sandwich fellowships. Sandwich means like, how you imagine a sandwich. It will be having 2 layers of bread filled with vegetables or anything. So PhD sandwich fellowship is just like that. Like, between your PhD tenure, you are eligible to go out to pursue a part of your PhD anywhere across the country. There are several fellowships available with in India, which will take care of your travel, insurance, living, everything. And for postdoc also, we have several fellowships in India, and there are several fellowships which can send Indian students abroad, like this Fulbright, DAD, Alexander von Humboldt, Indo-US, Indo-Japan, JPSP, etc., etc. And those who want to return back to India for a permanent position or a regular posting, there are several re-entry fellowships also there for life science or biotech candidates. The most prominent one are this Ramalinga Swami Re-Entry Fellowship and Ramanujan Re-Entry Fellowship, through which the students who are doing postdoc abroad can come into India as a permanent faculty in any institute. So this is what is going to make a fortune, while the regular route is just make a living. So we are going to see how to get into this part, because this part is mostly examination based. Wherever there is a fellowship, there will be an exam. If it is a postgraduate fellowship, if it is a MSc entrance, if it is a PhD entrance, let it be NET or GATE or DBT, JRF or anything, it is going to be exam based. So yeah, and there are very few non-exam based fellowships, which I will also show you that. But one thing, while talking about using the degree, our title itself is like, I mean, what are the career opportunities available for a degree in biotechnology? But while talking about using the degree or the value of the degree, we should also realize that the degree alone cannot support your career. But the place from where you get the degree also plays an important role. That one has to register in your mind. I'll demonstrate this with an example. Let's have a look into the biography of 4 eminent people, although they don't belong to biotechnology directly, except Dr. Chandrima Saha. Like, I mean, just showing 4 prominent people. K.Sivan, everybody would be knowing. He is the chairperson of ISRO. He is from Kanyakumari. Sundar Pichai, everybody would be knowing. Like, I mean, he is the CEO of Google and Alphabet, and he is from Chennai. Dr. Chandrima Saha is from West Bengal, and she is the first women president of INSA, and she is holding the office of Indian National Science Academy in New Delhi. She was the former director of National Institute of Immunology. Dr. C.N.R. Rao, you might have heard about him. He was chair of Scientific Advisory Committee to the Prime Minister twice. So these people, basically, they are from a rural area. Like K.Sivan is from Kanyakumari, remote location. Even if you take Abdul Kalam also, he is from somewhere in Ramanathapuram, Rameshwar. So when you see, if you see their education, or if you see their education profile, say for example, in case of Dr. K.Sivan, he did his BTech from MIT Chennai, then he went to ISC Bangalore for his MTech, and then he pursued his PhD from IIT Bombay. In case of Sundar Pichai, he did his BTech in IIT Kharagpur, then he went to Stanford for his MS and the MBA from University of Pennsylvania. Professor Chandrima Saha, she did her BSc and MSc from Calcutta University, and for her PhD, she went to Indian Institute of Chemical Biology. And Dr. C.N.R. Rao, he did his BSc from affiliated college in Mysore University, and then for MSc, he went to Banaras Hindu University, Uttar Pradesh, and PhD he did it at IIT Kharagpur. So one common thing you could notice that put them up in the next level of their career is that they pursued at least one degree in a national institute or national university. If you want to climb the ladder up in your career, you should pursue at least one degree in a national institute or national university. That is what is going to keep you, that is what is going to push you a level up of your career ladder. So that is what I wanted to mention it here also. So getting a degree from a national institute or national university gains utmost importance in climbing the professional ladder up. And this everyone should register in your mind. Just imagine if K.Sivan would have done his BTech also in MIT Chennai or BTech in a college in Chennai, he wouldn't have reached to the place where he is now. So degree also plays an important role. Here I can show you my tell you as me as an example. Like I did my UG and PG at Sri Kaleshwari College. I am an alumni of that college. So during my MSc, I was sent to National Institute of Plant Genome Research, New Delhi, for my internship, for my dissertation program, and later I qualified NET and I went to that institute. So because I did my PhD from such a national institute, that made a difference in my career. So that's what I wanted to say. Getting a degree from a national institute or national university gains utmost importance in climbing the professional ladder up. And this everybody should register in your minds. So if you are in BSc and if you want to pursue MSc in a national institute or university, The only way is to clear this graduate aptitude test in biotechnology, for which the call is already open. So previously JNU used to conduct a combined entrance examination in biotechnology, which is now replaced with this graduate aptitude test. Now JNU will not conduct any examination. RCB is going to conduct this year's GAT in biotechnology. So through this, if once you qualify this exam, you can select 62 courses in biotechnology or related areas, and the institutes are spread across the nation. And they also provide us support during your MSc itself. You will get a good amount of money as monthly stipend from the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. So this is one way where you can enter into a national institute where you have to just qualify an examination. So if you are in BSc and you want to go into PhD directly, then the best way to go is through this integrated MSc PhD program, and the JGEE BILS, which is the acronym of abbreviation of Joint Graduate Entrance Examination for Biology and Interdisciplinary Life Sciences. This examination is conducted by National Center for Biological Sciences, Bangalore. If you qualify this exam, you are eligible to pursue integrated MSc PhD in any of these 23 institutes, premier research institutes present in our nation. There are total of 23 institutes where during your MSc itself they will give a monthly stipend, and the stipend will increase during your PhD. Like for the first 2 years of PhD, you will receive a little less money, which will then again get raised to a different level during for the rest of your PhD tenure. That's what normally happens. So your entire career or your entire studies will be funded by the Government of India. So those who aspire for such PhDs, they should go for integrated MSc PhD. So yeah, those who are in MSc and those who want to go into PhD, what they have to do is, there are only 3 ways for pursuing PhD at the MSc level. You can directly register in a state university, or you have to get into a central university or national institute, or you have to go abroad. I'm not going into this state university thing because that is the way which people conventionally do. They will see the nearest state university and they will get registered there, or they will find something within their state which is renowned for such course and they will go and register there. Central institute and university, we will see little detail in the following slides. Going abroad is a kind of a different thing, because in few countries, like once I was delivering this talk on career in biotechnology, and when I posted this on Facebook, one professor from West Virginia State University, he wrote on my wall that motivate the students to go to USA, ample opportunities are around here. He's saying that not many Americans are willing to take a PhD. So the demand for us in abroad is also there for PhD, but for that we have to qualify a few exams, like which are like state, country specific. Say for example, if it is USA, then you have to qualify TOEFL, IELTS, GRE, etc. So those things, I'm not going into those details. I just want to focus on getting into a central university or institute. I just is anybody from Kalishwari College?
Sir, tell me, sir.
I'm just taking a 2 minutes break because I have to start one more session at 11 o'clock through my Zoom. So I'm just taking 2 minutes break. But my screen will be shared. That's not an issue. I'm just muting my.
Okay, sir. Actually, you will start 11 o'clock.
No, just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Dear participants, please stay online. After 2 minutes, we will start the session.
Okay.
Kindly cooperate us. Dear participants, kindly mute your audio as well as video. Name is
Yeah, sorry for that. Actually, I had another commitment at 11 o'clock. I had to, but anyhow, we are running late, so it's not an issue. At least they will start and proceed.
okay, sir. Proceed.
It's not an issue for us. So I just
Oh.
wanted to start their meeting because I was the admin there. Anyway, yeah. So we are going to see about this getting into Central Institute or University a little in little detail. So for this, we have to qualify at least one examination. Few central universities have their own entrance examinations, like in our own NC University, we have examination for getting into PhD. But the problem is with those institute-specific examination is that they are not recognized outside the university. Number one. Number two, the stipend which they give is very less. So you have to look for a national level entrance examination. It's renowned, say for example, NET. NET has its own value, and NET, even if you see the UGC table 3A for appointing an assistant professor, a NET qualified candidate will get 7 marks extra. So such examinations also adds to your CV. And the fellowship of NET is something different. Like, I mean, for the first 2 years itself, you will get 31,000 plus HRA. So look, you should always look for such examinations. So I'm just tabulating the examination based on the month where it usually occurs. GATE has no much relevance to us if we are BSc or MSc students. So I'm just skipping that. DBT-JRF, which is called this biotechnology eligibility test, is conducted by the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, which comes in the month of March. CSIR UGC NET happens twice a year, one in June and one in December. Every year they give this fellowship to 200 students. So I mean every exam. So altogether 400 fellowships will be awarded every year. Similarly, ICMR conducts its own examination. ICA, or Indian Council for Agriculture Research, conducts its own All India entrance examination for agricultural biotechnology students. So these are the examinations which are recognized by central institutes and universities for getting into PhD directly. In addition to this, there are few non-exam based modes where you can pursue a PhD. But these are localized for particular community of students or particular class of students. Say for example, RGNF is this Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship for SC/SC students, where SC/SC students are eligible to get this fellowship to pursue their PhD. CSIR-SRF, if the student has completed 2 years of his research or a PhD, he is eligible to get CSIR-SRF. INSPIRE, we will talk INSPIRE a little detail in the following slides. National Fellowship for OBC candidates, OBC students are eligible for this fellowship. In addition to that, Maulana Azad National Fellowship for minority students, and this is for those who belong to this minority community. But the difference between this exam-based and non-exam based is that the number of fellowships given per year is huge for the exam based, while here the number of fellowships per year or per session is very less. Say for example, they give up to 20 fellowships per thing. Inspire is for those who have got university first rank, and now they have made the system very much stringent, so they cannot give more than 20 a year. Say for example, if everybody is going into 20-20-20, given the amount of funding they have right now, it cannot support much students. But these exams, say for example, UGC NET itself is awarded to 200 students every year. So 200 plus 200 is 400, and these could be at least 100. So this here, qualifying such exams gives more scope and more benefit than opting for such non-stipendary fellowships. But one thing, this is particularly for the students, southern state students, especially Tamil Nadu, that out of my experience, I'm telling you that although there are several exams, there are several schemes, there are several fellowships, there are several funding opportunities, there are several institutes where you can get such high quality education, the road is uneven for you, because we were trained for getting into professional degree till our MSc, till our 12th standard. And suddenly we got into this field, maybe out of a compulsion, or we might not have got a better opportunity in some other course. So we have to develop our own aspiration. That's what I call as artificial aspiration. First we have to start loving the subject, and then we have to see what we can get out of it as a future perspective. Second thing is, there is a difference in syllabus. If you take any examination, if say for example these examinations, these examinations, mostly the questions will be set from CBSE syllabus, but we are from state board or matriculation board syllabus, are mostly into the state specific syllabuses, which might not be up to the mark of CBSE syllabus. So in that case, we might not be able to qualify or answer those questions in the examination. Third thing is the language. Those who doesn't study Hindi or English will be facing this difficulty, because such examinations are bilingual. The question paper will either in English or in Hindi. So if you would have studied your schoolings, if you are still studying your UG or PG in in a language like Tamil, then attempting such examinations will really be difficult for you. Then private players, if you could see, there are several such private players in the northern part of India. Say for example, we always say this quota as a hotspot for qualifying such entrance examination, and in Delhi also there are several places where such institutes or such private institutes which gives coaching to the students to qualify such examinations is higher. Let it be Pathfinder, let it be there are several such institutions or private tuition centers where they coach the students for qualifying such examinations. But in our locality or in our district or even in the state level, we don't have that much such private players who can coach students. And distribution of national institutes is also Tamil Nadu has very less amount of national institutes. And awareness is something which we really lack. We don't even know how many examinations are there. We don't even know how many institutes are there. We don't know how to reach there. We don't know how to prepare. We don't know what is the syllabus. We don't know when the advertisement will come. We really lack awareness, because our thing is more towards the semester. We focus more into qualifying a semester examination, but that we have to focus is to qualify such national level examination, which is more important, which at least you should realize now. And of course, for women candidates, there are possibilities that they might get married or they might get into this maternity thing. So there might be a break in career, and to bring those women candidates back into research, DST has announced a specific program for students, for women candidates who have a break in career. So those who have break in career for a minimum of 2 years, they are eligible for this fellowship. So this is a way. Even life science is there. I mean, biotechnology is there. This is one way where a women candidate can get back to the track or get back to the subject. One more thing which I said that I will talk in detail is this INSPIRE scheme. INSPIRE stands for Innovation in Science Pursuit for Inspired Research. This was a brainchild of our former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. He wanted to give a different to the people or to the students who are the toppers. So this INSPIRE Fellowship or INSPIRE Award, INSPIRE Internship, INSPIRE Scholarship, INSPIRE Faculty Scheme, these always rewards the top tier students, those who top in their academic level. Say for example, INSPIRE Fellowship is there for students who have got university rank in their post-graduation final examination. If you are university first, then you don't have to qualify any of the examinations which I have shown in the previous slides. You don't have to qualify NET, you don't have to qualify DBT-JRF, you don't have to qualify GATE, or you don't have to qualify any examination. You are directly eligible for a PhD with the same amount of stipend. So that is the beauty of such fellowships. But for that, you have to be the university first rank holder. Similarly, for INSPIRE faculty, if you have done your PhD and if you have published good amount of research, if you have done significantly well in your PhD research, if you would have got some international recognitions for your research, then you are eligible for INSPIRE faculty scheme, where you are affiliated to an institute for 5 years and you will be paid a salary or stipend of 1.25 lakh a month in the beginning of your tenure, and every year there is an annual increment of 3.3%. So these are like some such highly rewarding fellowships, but for this you have to be academically strong. So at last, I wanted to tell you that exams are going to determine your fate. If you want to get into a premier institute, you have to qualify any of these exams, because attaining a degree is not a big deal. You can get PhD from anywhere, you can get MSc from anywhere, but attaining the same degree from a reputed institute where the degree has the value is something different. And that is what I'm trying to tell you, that institute is also important in addition to the degree. So if that is the case, you have to attempt for these examinations. So you have to prepare from your undergraduation or post-graduation itself for these examinations. So one thing I want to tell you here is what difficulty it comes is, like, I mean, there are few institutes, say for example JNU. If somebody is, if in JNU, in MSc, say for example there are 10 students, those 10 will qualify NET in one batch, but the same cannot happen in a state university or in a state institute or state college. As an MSc student in a state college cannot qualify an exam in one go, because there are differences. The differences, a major difference is with the syllabus. So first thing, we have to tabulate the examinations which are there, and we have to know, we should know when the advertisement will come, when will be the last date to apply, when will be the exam, because few exams happen on the same date every year, and when they will announce the result. This is more important. You should segregate the familiar topics and unfamiliar topics. And this part is very much important, because you will not be having a first-hand information on these topics. You have to either watch YouTube videos or you have to contact your teachers. And even in this case, you can even go for private coachings to gain knowledge on these unfamiliar topics, because if you want to cover the whole syllabus, then you have to have a good amount of knowledge in all these topics. So you have to get the syllabus, you have to compare with your present syllabus, I mean your college syllabus, and you have to identify which parts you know, which parts you don't know, and then you have to get the previous year question papers. Everything is available in the internet. So you have to study the syllabus, you have to then start attempting the question papers. You can go by reading one topic a day, because the syllabus, although it is very vast, if you repeatedly practice this, it will be very easy for you. And you should also have a knowledge about this cutoffs, because this varies every year. And this is also, the information is also available on the internet. So there is no shortcut for success, as we always say. It requires tremendous practice and hard work. When given the situation, I would say that preparing for semester examination comes secondary. Preparing for such national level examinations is primary. So students should focus more on, qualifying such national level examination, because I'll tell you, people are very simply saying that biotechnology doesn't have any value. They're saying that there is the unemployment rate is higher in biotechnology, or they keep saying that if you take this, you have to struggle. So, but the thing is that the field has its own grace. The only thing is it has a limited opportunity. Say, for example, if it is a running race of 100 meter, we always give only 3 prizes: first prize, second prize, and third prize. This will never change. There is no such thing called fourth prize. So this has not changed. But if only 4 people are running and one is you, then you will run little fast, at least to get the third place. So that is very fine. If there are 10 people, so you cannot easily do it. You have to run little fast, or you have to do little more hard work, because now the number of competitors is more, but the number of opportunities is less. This is going to be stable. This is going to vary. If it is 10 people, you have to run little more fast. But if it is lakhs of people, then you have to run really fast. So the race is with the amount of people getting accumulated year with year and year. And this remains always constant, as I said. So if you want to reach there, you have to put more hard work into that. The only way to reach there is to qualify such examinations. I have shown you the examinations. I have shown you in which month it is getting conducted. I've shown you how to prepare. So if you follow this, it will be very easy to reach this place. Otherwise, you will lose the race. Finally, you will end up blaming the field. So yeah, again, I'm telling that the track is uneven. So for that, you have to first gain aspiration. First, you have to start liking the subject. Only those who like the subject will be able to succeed in that, because if you don't like the subject, nothing is going to stay in your brain. Only those who we love will stay in the brain. And we should understand the difference in the syllabus. We should compare and see what is our MSc or BSc grade syllabus and what is the syllabus for NET. And we have to identify those dark regions which are not covered in our regular syllabus. We have to go for additional coaching, or we have to study by ourselves by referring to the books recommended. We have to do repeated, workouts with the question papers. And the language thing is for those who are from Tamil medium, you have to work on your English also, because for you understanding a question itself is difficult. So that also requires a very important place. And private place, we cannot do anything with it. But although now there are few good private centers coming up in Chennai and such state capitals, you can see what kind of institutes are there, see in their track record, see how many students who have joined there have actually cleared such entrance examinations. If everything is assured, then go for it, don't miss it. And here this we cannot do anything about it. If one has to have, say for example, I am from Tirunelveli, down south. For my PhD, I went to Delhi. So you should be ready to travel, and awareness is more important. That's where my today's talk is gains importance. All I want to give you is the awareness. First, you should know what are all the exams, what are all the institutes, how to go there. Because say for example, one best thing I can tell you. I told you that if you qualify NET and if you get enrolled for your PhD, you will get 31,000 a month. This will get increased after 2 years. For the rest 3 years, you will receive a different salary. I think it is 36,000. So let's keep 31,000. If the 31,000 per month you will get from the government. 31,000 per month accounts for. I will show you. If it is 31,000 per month for a year, it's going to be 3,72,000. And for 5 years, this fellowship is there for 5 years. So for 5 years, you are getting around 18,60,000. In addition to this, you will be getting HRA. In addition to this, you will get a good amount of money as a contingency through which you can buy your minimal requirements like pen drive or hard disk or minor chemicals, etc., etc. So one thing you have to realize is the government is ready to invest around 20 lakh on you for your higher study, provided you have to qualify just one examination. Let it be DBT-JRF, let it be NET, let it be any examination. So the government is ready to invest 20 lakhs on you for your higher education for a period of 5 years. So that awareness you have to have, because that is what, like, I mean, you have to really work on it. And since you are in your colleges, one thing which adds to your CV is this internship. Benefit of internship, I'll tell you in the last. First, let's see a few renowned internship programs which is administered in our nation. I've divided the tenure of BSc and MSc in different parts. The maroon lines indicate the years, whereas the gray lines indicates the months. I'm not going into the detail of the first one because that is awarded by the Taiwan government. Yeah. This is the IIT Roorkee Spark Fellowship, where you will get a monthly stipend also. It is for a duration of 6 months, and it usually happens in the final year of your MSc. I mean, second year of your MSc. And then Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they also provide internship in their own ministry with a monthly stipend of 10,000, and the duration is for 3 months. Then this this is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. They provide internship for students in their first year of their PG. And the National Institute of Animal Biotechnology, it is in Hyderabad. They provide such internship with no stipend, although they provide twice a year. And Regional Center for Biotechnology, it is in Faridabad, Haryana. So they provide internship for the final year BSc students. This one is abroad. I'm not going into that. Yeah, CCMB summer training. I'll show you the website itself. Now they have changed it into CSIR summer training. Similarly, previously CSIR used to give CSIR APJ Abdul Kalam summer training, but we have to still see whether it is available now or not. IIT Madras also provides internship opportunities for final year PG students. Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, which is in Bangalore, provides summer research fellowship for students in both MSc and BSc levels. And there are 3 national academies in India, science academies, Indian National Science Academy, Indian Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Sciences, India. These 3 academies altogether collaborate to give summer research fellowship for both students and teachers, students of the final year BSc and final year MSc, where they can go to any national institute for a period of 2 months to pursue their internship there. They give a very good amount of stipend. I think now they have increased it. It is for a duration of 2 months. In addition to this, there are several direct internship opportunities available within the institutes or universities. Say, for example, if some student want to apply in my lab, if they write to me directly, then I will accept them if I have a space in my lab. So likewise, several scientists do. So only thing that the student has to identify a lab and student has to apply to the particular scientist. So if the scientist really has a space in their lab, they will allow the student to come. But the problem here is they will not be able to provide any stipend or fellowship. But it is like, I mean, they will take care of the other facilities, or they will try to give hostel accommodation, or they will try to help the students to the level which they can. So these direct internship opportunities are also there, for which the student has to browse the internet, identify a scientist who is working in his or her area of interest, and then they have to approach them directly. Say for example, Kalisheri College has so far has sent, I think, at least 3 students to National Institute of Plant Genome Research when I was there for their internships. So such thing happens with the own interest of students. So in addition to that, there are several companies that offers internships, but here one has to be very careful, because there are some industries which run only for giving such internships, where they will just collect the money and give the student a old dissertation or a previously made record. They will be having their own ready-made documents or data books from which they will make a dissertation and give. So that is more like selling a dissertation. There is no research or anything involved in that. So students should be very much aware of a company if they are going to going for their internship. This is more important. So what this internship will help? Of course, it is going to add, or it is going to strengthen your CV. In addition to that, it will give you a first-hand exposure to state-of-the-art research. You will be able to go into a national institute or national facility to see how actual research is happening. It will also provide a lead in your career. It will show you the path, what you have to do next to get into such institute. Yes, this I have already said, it strengthens your CV, no doubt about it. It provides very good network. You will get very good contacts. You will get contacts of highly reputed scientists, good students who are really helpful and research. So such network you will be able to develop. And there are trainees who have got papers published from such institutes during their internship also. My own trainee, my first trainee was from University of Rajasthan, Rohit Kandalwal. He is now doing his PhD in IIT Delhi. He got 3 papers when he was working as an intern with me. My second trainee was Janani Jaishankar. She did her BSc from Chennai, but MSc from Manit Bhopal. She came for a MTech internship. She also got 4 papers during her internship. So internships also provide such publications. So students should always look for such opportunities. Altogether, what I want to say is, you are now either in this BSc level or MSc level. You have to know how you want to see yourself from 5 years now. Accordingly, you have to plot the way. If you want to become a researcher, say for example, if I'm taking myself, if I want to become a researcher and I'm in my MSc level, what I will do, I will right now start preparing for any national level exam to get into a premier research institute. How to choose an institute? If I have interest in plant science, I will look for plant biotechnology institutes. If I have interest in cancer biology, I look for institutes that work on cancer in particular. If I have interest in cattle or bovines, I look for institutes which work on those specific animal areas. So like that, I will choose. I'll see what they want, what is their admission requirement. Accordingly, I will prepare myself. Then I will attempt. I'll get into there for my PhD. During my PhD itself, I will keep searching for other fellowship opportunities through which I can go out of India and come back during my PhD itself. That's what I am calling it as sandwich fellowship. There are several sandwich fellowships, like Fulbright is there, DAD is there. DAD is for Germany, Fulbright is for US. India has one fellowship called Raman Charpak. Raman Charpak is for France. And there is one called Newton Baba, which is for UK. We have several such fellowships. We have signed MOUs with the different science and technology institutes of different countries. So we have now several such sandwich programs through which we can go there for a minimum of 2 months to a maximum of 1 year. DAD is for 2 years. So you can do class research in a state of the art facility there and come back for PhD. Submit your thesis, get your PhD done. If you want to go out again, there are several fellowships available which are highly rewarding. HSPS, JSPS, Fulbright is there again. There are several highly rewarding fellowships, Marie Curie. So those will help you in getting a premier laboratory in the abroad, and it will also pay you a good amount of money. These stipends are really higher. So once having done my postdoc there, then I have to come back to India. I can either apply directly to institutes where opportunities are there, or our government has its own fellowship to bring back those peoples back to Indian system. That is what I call as re-entry fellowship. There are several re-entry fellowships for those who are outside India. So I have to use such a re-entry fellowship to get back into the system. So first thing is you should know where you want to see yourself in 5 years from now. Accordingly, you have to plot the map. This is what I call as a road map, because a journey without a map leads to nowhere. This one thing you have to remember, and you have to develop the map, stick it somewhere in your wall or in your desktop background or somewhere. Keep adding information to it, prepare for it, and strike at the right place. You will definitely get the success. If you need any more assistance, you just write to me, drop a mail to me, I'll respond to you. So I guess I can stop here, and let's see if any one of you have any questions to answer.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Myself, Somnath Banerjee from West Bengal. Sir, I had a question regarding, sir, you were saying about the stipends of CSIR, that is 31,000, and after 2 years it will be increased. So as you said, sir, that I can buy my personal things like hard disks and chemicals and all that. Sir, I want to know that in that fellowship, will my fooding and accommodation where I will be working, that will be, sir, included?
Accommodation, yeah, 31,000 is the basic, plus you will get HRA.
Okay.
So accommodation is manageable from that. It will be 31,000 plus HRA. If you are in tier 1 city, you will get up to 24% HRA as per the government of India norms. So HRA is something different from which you can manage your accommodation. For food, if it is like, if you are taking accommodation within the hostel, then what they will do is like they will not give you the HRA, but the food will be in a subsidized cost. Say for example, when I was doing my PhD, I was in the hostel of National Institute of Plant Genome Research, New Delhi. I was paying up to 1,000 rupees or 1,500 per month. So the food is really in a subsidized rate. So that would not be much to spend from the government.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the valuable information and this excellent webinar.
Anyone else?
Yes, dear participants, if you have any doubt, you interact to our chief guest.
Sir?
Dear participants, any doubt?
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Dear participants, unmute your audio, then you interact to our chief guest.
Sir?
Yeah, madam, tell me.
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. For after I'm doing my BSc right now. For doing MSc in foreign countries, what are the which country is the best, sir?
Hey.
Yeah. I'm not much sure of going out during MSc itself, because we always look for going out either for PhD or postdoc. So
Okay.
I don't have much information on it. I'll see if somebody is there in my network. Even I could not recall that anybody went there for their MSc. People go very, less, because few countries won't even consider our BSc as the BSc.
Yeah, okay.
So they will ask us to pursue another degree again to have postgraduate degree there. So
Okay.
yeah, there are several constraints associated with this. So to be frank, I'm not much sure of what exactly the way is.
Okay,
So if you want, I can see and I'll let you know through mail.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello.
9791.
Students, you can interact with our chief guest.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I'm a pharma student right now, so
You
I
want to
wanted to
pursue a
ask.
career in biotech?
Yes, exactly.
I am just reading your chat actually.
Sorry.
I'm just reading your chat. So biopharma is something like, where it has a relation to biotech and pharmaceuticals.
Okay. So I just
Yeah, you
wanted to
have to
ask
look
you, like,
for.
if there are some internship programs or something which is provided by the government itself.
So you are, what is your degree?
I'm doing bachelor's in pharmacy right now.
Yeah, few such internships should be there, but I'm not very much sure of whether biotech companies actually take pharmacy students, because it is more into R&D, right? In R&D, they will be using more like animal systems or plant systems to study. You would have studied more into the chemicals and compounds.
Yeah,
So,
actually, but I wanted to go for research and development and like my
if that's
master's.
the case, then you should have taken your MSc in biotech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see whether you are eligible for PhD in biotechnology, then accordingly you can plan your way forward.
Okay, sir.
That should work. Somebody has asked what is the duration of PhD programs in life science. PhD is not a duration oriented, that one should be very much aware of. PhD is objective oriented. Your supervisor or the institute will give you few objectives which you have to accomplish. If it is accomplished in 2 years, you are eligible to submit your thesis in 2 years. If you are accomplishing that in 5 years, you are eligible to submit in 5 years. So there is no like a predetermined duration for PhD. PhD is research based. When your research is complete, you are eligible to submit your thesis for the award of the degree. So, info for botany students, actually, somebody is asking, could you give some info for botany students? When you compare a student from biotech background, the students who study these specific subjects like botany or zoology, they are more knowledgeable, because biotech is more of a kind of superficial subject which is not teaching us the subject in detail. But those who come from botany, if somebody is doing UG in botany and they are coming for PG in biotechnology, they are able to succeed because they have a strong background. And many institutes, they prefer such candidates. Even when I was giving my interview for University of Hyderabad, they were asking me, like, it is a plant science department. So they were asking me basically, like, do you know, can you teach taxonomy? Can you teach molecular taxonomy? But those things I am not aware of. I studied BSc and MSc in biotechnology. But if a student has done his BSc in botany, he would be definitely knowing taxonomy and all. And if he has done MSc in biotechnology, that is an added advantage. And those people can clearly reach the goal faster than those who are doing their UG and PG in biotechnology. What is the scope of medical coding for life science graduates? Medical coding is not for biotechnology, actually. There is no biotechnology involved. It is more like a data entry job for which any degree can help. So I am not supporting this kind of profession. It is something like data entry. So it doesn't actually qualify for a industry job. I'm just scrolling the chat box to see if there is any.
Good morning, sir. Hello.
Morning. Yes.
Hello, sir. I am Prathamesh. Hello, sir. I am Prathamesh Bakshi from Aurangabad. I recently completed graduation in BSc Agricultural Biotechnology. I just want to ask any future scope for agricultural biotechnology in research field?
You done your BSc?
BSc Agricultural Biotechnology.
Then you should go to MSc.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, MBA, sir. In after agriculture, there are some entrance exams like JNU, BHU. I wrote that, sir, but I just want to ask in abroad, sir, about agriculture in biotechnology, because
you're asking about going abroad.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, like, I mean, if you are pursuing your MSc degree in this ICAR stream, they themselves have some fellowship through which you can go abroad or PhD. I forgot the name of that. So you try to enter this ICAR stream. You should either come to IARI for your PhD, sorry, MSc, because that is the hotspot for agriculture biotechnology. If you are there, you will be able to move into any place where you want to go. So always aim for such place. So I think they have their own fellowship. IARI has. Other than that, if you see any fellowship that allows students to go abroad, there will be a subject in agriculture, because all the fellowships or funding agencies have realized the importance of agriculture. Even in Fulbright, if you want to go to US, you can see that there is no subject for life science. They ask for students from agricultural sciences. So for you, the prospect is more than the others. Only thing is, like, you should be aware of such things.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, somebody is asking for scope in life science. Scope in life science is huge. Actually, we cannot cover it in 1 hour. So we recently conducted several such webinars for scope in life sciences also. So as of now, today we are limiting to biotechnology only.
Sir, I am continuing MSc Botany, and I want to research in plant science, and which is the best institute for plant research?
You have thousands of, hundreds of institutes under the umbrella of IARI. Other than that, DBT has National Institute of Plant Genome Research, which is one of the premier institutes. CSIR has several institutes like CSIR CMAP, which is in Lucknow. CSIR NBRA, National Botanical Research Institute, which is also in Lucknow. CSIR has IHBT, which is in Palampur, Himachal Pradesh. So there are several such institutes. Yeah, of course, as I could say, for plant science, all the ministries have their own institutes. So if you go to the website of such ministries department, you will get to know the details. Whatever I have said are a few examples which are very much renowned for their research. Is that clear, Mr. Parida?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Sir, is a integrated course in MSc and PhD will cost more money, sir?
Nobody is going to charge money from you if you are going to a national institute. Instead, they will be giving you money as stipend. I remember, if you remember, I showed you a slide on this integrated. This is the integrated MSc PhD, where you can
yes,
do
sir.
your MSc PhD in 23 institutes where they give stipend. They give stipend for your MSc. They will give stipend for your PhD. They give stipend in 3 levels. MSc you will get a different money. For PhD first 2 years you will get a different money, and for the final years you will get a different amount of money. So they will give stipend. They won't charge anything from you. Any national institute I am talking about. Our central universities, they will charge a minimal tuition fee. That's the thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Students
last
also can interact with Tamil. Students,
there
you
are
can
several
also
questions
have
there.
your interaction in Tamil also. You can ask question to him.
Somebody is asking, what is your opinion on pursuing MSc Biotechnology in state university, like Madras University, Bharatiya University, and so on? State universities, the issue is they have little funding. Biotechnology requires more funding for research and development. So with that limited funding, they will not be doing much. There are few universities which are directly supported by the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, which comes under this GATB, which I just showed, hosted by Regional Center for Biotechnology. So such universities are really good, those which are supported by the Department of Biotechnology. And such universities which receive funding from central institutes, central funding bodies, like if a department is supported by UGC's Center for Advanced Studies, DST's FIST, CBT's Star College, there are several schemes which support the department, and if the department is receiving such support from the central government, then those departments are really good to pursue PhD, because they will be having the infrastructure and they will be having a quality in their curricula. So you have to see whether that department is supported by any of such programs of the central government. Accordingly, you can get into that.
Muttamil. So that's one question from YouTube Live. So she asked that I'm advanced zoology. I'm doing my advanced zoology and biotechnology in BSc. And if there is any scope in MSc zoology, she is asking like that. That is Priyamani.
So the student is pursuing advanced
zoology and biotechnology. The student is doing BSc advanced zoology and biotechnology. And she is asking that MSc, there's any scope in MSc zoology?
MSc zoology has much scope because few universities that offer MSc, which has Department of Zoology, will recruit only those who have their degree in zoology. A university having Department of Zoology will not recruit a biotechnology student there. They always prefer their own, students, and all the central universities have Department of Zoology. So such universities, they will directly recruit such students if they are able to qualify any national level in examinations like NET or GATE actually.
Thank you, Muttamil. Students, do you have any questions?
Somebody is asking about private universities. There are several private universities which offer biotechnology. Like even Amity has Amity Institute of Biotechnology, a standalone body. They offer good level of courses, but I'm not vouching for any private university. May I get any job in degree with MSc Biotech without PhD? Yeah, that is where I have shown you that BITP, Biotech Industrial Training Program, offered by Department of Biotechnology. So if you qualify that exam, and if you are getting that internship, then you are eligible to get into any industry from where you can make your career out. Are there any internships for first year and second year BSc Biotechnology? For first 2 years of UG, the internship opportunities are very less. That's where we encourage the students to contact the institutes directly. You will be having a field as your field of interest. Let it be plant biotechnology, let it be cancer research, let it be treating infectious diseases, such like that. So you look for scientists who are working in those areas and you write to them directly, like, sir, can I come during my semester holidays? If I remember, Kalisheri College has sent students from first years, students from second years to National Institute of Plant Genome Research. So if the student is interested, nobody is going to say no. Only thing is you should express your interest to the right person. So through mail, you try contacting them. If they are taking you for internship for 2 months during your semester holidays, well and good, you can go. That's the way.
Any other questions? Participants, you can have the interaction.
Book list which keeps us motivated and encouraged in this field. There is no one-stop solution for this. Biotechnology is a combination of subjects. It is a more of a interdisciplinary science kind of thing. So there will be several. You have to see where you have interest and you should choose the books according to that. MBA in biotechnology, MBA, I have not came across anyone who has done MBA in biotechnology, so I'm not sure of what scope it has. I think only very few institutes are offering. If I remember correctly, one of my batchmates who did her BSc with us in Kalisheri College, she went for doing MBA in biotechnology, but I don't know what she is doing right now. And I'm not sure what is actual scope of doing such programs in biotechnology. Is there an integrated PhD program offered by a reputed university in abroad? To my knowledge, no.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
it's audible.
Sir, as continuing a job, can I join a plant research institute?
Ask it again.
As continuing a job as a laboratory assistant, I can join a plant research institute.
If you are having your MSc degree, you are eligible for JRF. You can join us. Junior research now I'm of serving as laboratory assistant, because laboratory assistant or project assistant, the salary is very less. But in JRF, you will get a good amount of money. And in ICAR system, I don't know whether you are from ICAR stream. They have this young professional schemes which you can opt for. Those will be like, I mean, a 5 years project where you can serve for 5 years. If you are an young professional, you are also eligible for registering for your PhD. So such thing you have to look for.
Sir, as continuing my job, can I join a plant research institute?
While continuing. You are asking
job.
While continuing. Is it so? No, that's not possible.
Okay, sir.
Somebody has asked a valid question. Like, I mean, I'm pursuing PG in botany, but we don't have much knowledge in molecular studies. So it will be difficult for us to clear CSIR exam. PG students, exam will be not in biotechnology, the exam will be in life sciences. Net examination is conducted for the subject called life science, not for biotechnology. It will be having questions from all the subjects, including biotechnology. So everybody will be having their own difficulties. You are good in taxonomy, a biotechnology student will not be good in taxonomy. So you have an added advantage while he doesn't have. In that case, the only way out is to read all the parts of the syllabus. So you have to cover the entire syllabus. Yes, it will be difficult. It will be more difficult, but you have to get that out of your practice. Actually, that is the only way. May I get job in research institute, degree in MSc, B.Ed, botany. Job is something different from career. If you are having MSc, you are eligible for short-term recruitments, which we call as project JRF or project associate kind of things, where your tenure will end with the project. So if you see the website of national institutes, you will get to know. They will post such things there actually. If you want, I can show you one example. I'm just going to my NIPGR where I did my PhD. So all the institutes will be having a section called career. You have to go there. You have to see whether they have any latest vacancies. Here the interview was suspended because of this COVID issue. Otherwise, you can see they have one RA post vacant, one SRF post vacant. If you have a degree in MSc, then you are eligible for junior research fellow. I can show you what they want as a junior research fellow. Candidates selected through national eligibility test. Now they have made it mandatory because of a rule from DST that the candidate should have qualified national eligibility test. So in that case, you can opt for project associate. If you see the eligibility, candidate having MSc or MTech degree with a minimum of 60% mark overall or equivalent in bioinformatics, biotechnology, life sciences, or any related field are eligible for interview. So in that case, you are all eligible if you are having PG in any of the field in life sciences with minimum of 60% marks overall throughout your career, right from your class 10 till your last semester. You should have minimum of 60% of marks. If so, you are eligible for project associate 1. Project associate 1, the salary is 31,000 per month plus HRA. So this amount is equivalent to a PhD student's monthly stipend. Somebody is asking, what about bioinformatics? Nowadays, bioinformatics is in very much demand than biotechnology actually. We have, for example, when I was in my previous institute, National Institute for Plant Biotechnology in Delhi, we had one post for bioinformatics candidate, but till the end, till I left the institute, we didn't get a suitable bioinformatics candidate. So bioinformatics is something is of a great demand. So bioinformatics has certainly a good feature because large data analysis, deep analysis, artificial intelligence, everything is coming into life science stream. So bioinformatics has a very good scope. And I think it will be evergreen because everything is going to be computer based from now on. Somebody is a final year BSc student. After BSc, they want to take agriculture course. Is any course available? You should look into the website of agricultural universities like TNAU, Coimbatore, IRA. IRA in Delhi, it has several affiliated institutes in and around inside the nation. So there you will get more information about PG in agriculture. Sharing PPT to the mail, I think the program is getting live streamed in YouTube. We will definitely get the complete presentation there. Yeah, mathematics, right, sir? Yeah. I think it is done.
Okay, Muthamal, it's fine. And I think you have answered all the questions, I think. Thank you for your patient listening, Muthamal. And your speech is very inspirational. And I hope all the participants have got a clear idea about the opportunities and career in biotechnology, I think so. So shall we end the session, Muthamal?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I call upon Dr. G. Manikandan, Assistant Professor of Botany, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. It's my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks in this webinar. First of all, I thank our college secretary, Sri A.P. Silvarajan, for his permission to carry out this webinar program. Thank you, sir. Then I thank our beloved principal, Dr. Krishnamurthy, for his support and encouragement to organize this webinar program. Thank you, sir. Then I thank head of the department, Dr. M. Sujata, to organize this wonderful webinar to us. And also, I thank our department staff members for their cooperation. I extend my sincere thanks to today's Chief Guest, Dr. Muthamilarasan, for accepting our request. Then he has spending his valuable time and also share his knowledge to us. Sir, I hope this session is very useful for us. So thank you, sir. Then I thank computer lab technician Raghavan, Marimuthu and Nagarajan for their technical support to organize this webinar program. Last but not least, I thank all the participants to your support and your cooperation. That's why we successfully completed this webinar program. So thank you, dear participants. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Muthamal. So there are many more questions from our student side. I will post it on the email and I will get clarified, Muthamal.
Okay, I think my email is now available with everyone. They can directly contact us.
Okay, Muthamal. Okay, Muthamal. Thank you for your patient answering the questions and thank you for your session, Muthamal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the feedback link is posted in the chat box. Participants can use this feedback form. Participants, please fill the feedback form which is given in the chat box and then only you will get the certificates. ஒரு 1 minute மட்டும் வச்சிருங்க சார். சாருக்கு முத்தமிழரசன் வெளில வந்துட்டாப்ல. நீங்க செட்டா இருப்பாங்க முத்தமிழ். முத்தமிழ் சூப்பர் முத்தமிழ், ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது உங்க செஷன். ஓகே முத்தமிழ், நாங்க ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம் யார் யார் எந்தெந்த பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட் எங்க இருந்து இருக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு சம்மரி உங்களுக்கு அனுப்பி விடுறோம் முத்தமிழ். யூடியூப் லிங்க்கும் கொடுத்து விட்டுறேன். பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட் லிஸ்ட் அந்த ப்ரொஃபைல் அவங்களோட ப்ரொஃபைல் எல்லாமே வந்து உங்களுக்கு அனுப்பி விடுறேன் முத்தமிழ். ஓகேப்பா, ஓகே சூப்பர், தேங்க்ஸ் முத்தமிழ். ஓகேப்பா, ஓகே தேங்க்யூப்பா. இல்ல நான் ப்ரொஃபைல்ல என்ன சொல்ல மாட்டேன். 2 தடவை கேட்டு அன்னைக்கு கிளியர் பண்ணிருக்கேன். 2 தடவை ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு தடவை கிளியர் பண்ணி பார்க்கலாம். திரும்ப ஒரு தடவை கிளியர் பண்ணேன். ஏன் 2வது தடவை பண்றீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கேட்டேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் பாஸ் பண்ணும்போது என் லக்ல பாஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன்னு சொல்லிடுவேன்.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அவங்க வந்து ஃபோட்டோல செக் பண்ணி சொல்லியிருக்கிறாரு யாரு அப்படின்றதுனால ரெண்டாவது டைம் ஜென்ரல்ல போட்டு செக் பண்ணி. ஹலோ தேவி மேம். மேம் ஃபுல்லா பாத்தீங்களா? சரிங்க மேம் சரிங்க மேம். மெயில் ஐடியில இருக்கா? வேர்ட்ல டைப் பண்ணி அனுப்பிட்டீங்களா? ஓகே ஓகே சூப்பர் சூப்பர். சரிங்க மேம், நான் அதை கரெக்ஷன் பார்த்து அனுப்பிடுறேன் மேம். சரி. செஷன் எப்படி இருந்தது? ஃபுல்லா பாத்தீங்களா?